Michella Chester here for NCAA.com, and guys, the postseason is here. After a crazy season full of upsets and unbelievable matches, 64 teams made the tournament field. I've been giving you my Power 10 rankings all season, so why not just tell you my pick for the entire tournament? This will be my bracket and national champion projection. Let's start with the top left side of the bracket, where the #1 seed Baylor, who has had a historic season, will host a regional along with Purdue, Kentucky, and Washington. Baylor versus USC is going to be a really interesting matchup if it works out that way, and I think Baylor's toughest test on this side. Kalia Lanier leads the Trojans in a similar way to Yassiana Pressley and the Bears, but I'm going to give Pressley the edge as she has the ability to take over an entire match completely on her own, and they will have the home court advantage as well. I think Michigan will almost make it out of this side of the bracket. They could be a sleeper to pull off the upset over Kentucky. I have Colorado State taking down Washington in what would be a huge upset for them and a continuation of its record-breaking season. But then Michigan taking them down to move on and give Baylor a good test in the quarterfinals. But I think this Baylor team will really want this one and be able to pull it out. In the bottom left side of the bracket, we've got 5th seed Nebraska, last year's runner-up, 12th seed Hawaii hosting 13th seed Texas A&M, and 4th seed Wisconsin. I think Missouri will make it out of the first and then lose to Nebraska. And Washington State, who just made the tournament field, will make it all the way to face Nebraska, but then fall short to Lauren Stivrins and crew. Then I think Wisconsin, if at its best, will be able to get through the tough UCLA test in the second round and then take down Rice to move on to the quarterfinals. What do we have? A third rematch between the Badgers and Huskers. You might say it's nearly impossible to beat a good team 3 times, but I think the combo of Dana Retke and her 2 pin hitters, Molly Haggerty and Grace Loberg, will get it done. It will be a close one, but Wisconsin's on top for me. In the top right bracket, Stanford will be looking to defend its title, and it's got the reigning National Player of the Year, Catherine Plummer, back in its corner. I think they will make it easily through the first and second round, and I'm also anticipating a rematch between BYU and Utah in the second round. This time I think Danny Drews and Utah can pull off the upset and will move on to face the reigning champs. I know Stanford has shown that it's not unbeatable this season, and a few teams have pulled off the upset against them, but in the postseason, not so much. This senior group has won 2 national championships, and I think their experience will give them the advantage. Then we've got Pitt and Penn State. Can we believe that they are this close in the bracket after splitting their home-and-home series this season? I think Pitt will have a good battle, but take down Cincinnati pretty easily, and Penn State will have a pretty easy path to that Pittsburgh matchup. Well, what happens here? If you ask me, I think Penn State upsets the Panthers, who have been a top 5 team for the majority of the season and came in as the #6 seed in this tournament. Penn State will then face Stanford in the quarterfinals, but fall just short due to this crazy strong Cardinal senior class. Lastly, the bottom right bracket. Minnesota has been a sleeper all season for me. I think they're going to coast past Creighton and then handle Florida with their starting setter back in the lineup. On the bottom half, there's Western Kentucky, and they've only lost 1 match this season. I think they'll make a good postseason run and exact revenge on Louisville, their only loss of the season. Then, to be honest, I think Texas will glide through this side of the bracket, taking down UCSB and Western Kentucky in their tracks. And if they're at their best, they'll beat Minnesota too. They just have too many threats at every single position. Their blockers are crazy good, and they have 6 rotation hitters. When they took down Baylor earlier this season, they were definitely at their best. And if they play like that, no one is stopping them. Okay, so here is my final 4. Say whatever you want, chalk, boring, no way. But we're talking about a sport that only has 10 national champions here. And in the past 2 years, there were 3 top 4 seeds in the top 4. This year, I predict these top 4 seeds will make the final 4. Here's where it gets interesting. Baylor versus Wisconsin. But to me, I think it's easy. Baylor has Pressley, but they lack in supporting characters. Wisconsin does not. Then there's Stanford versus Texas. The tournament has seen this matchup before, but I say Texas wins it with an unbelievable offense to put the Cardinal and Plummer on the defense. My championship match will see Texas versus Wisconsin. I predicted this earlier in the season, and I am sticking with it. Wisconsin wins it all. A team that may have 6 losses, but a lot of heart. That's it for me, guys. Who is your national champion? Let me know what your bracket picks are, and as always, follow along with everything you need to know this postseason on NCAA.com and NCAA Volleyball Social.